Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, whenever the fuck you're watching this episode. Another episode of Backyard Blitz brought to you by Backyard Sports. Got the full panel here with us. Andy back from the dead, Gary Freeze. 2 out of 3 of them out here talking Dallas Buyers Club level immune systems. 2 out of 3. They all happen to be my partners up to the north. But let's start with you, Andy. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm hanging in there. I gotta speak loudly. This thing needs fucking greased wheels here to get going.
Yeah.
I let out my first fucking sounds, and it's
he's
let out my first sounds, and it's sort of like puberty again here.
Well, welcome back, buddy. Good to have you back. Senior is watching or at Daytona?
Watching. He's actually here. He's upstairs watching Daytona and watching the show. We were watching qualifying.
Hello from upstairs, Senior.
Oh, so he's got like bad company.
Yeah, he does have bad company.
Oh, he might have to make an appearance on the pod is all I'm saying. It might be time. That's awesome. Well, good to have you. Gary, how are you, buddy?
Good, man. I'm surviving whatever the fuck it's had me down for about a week. But we're here. We're here to talk some Super Bowl, maybe some halftime distract shenanigans. But yeah, it was a interesting Sunday, that's for sure.
Well, let's just get right into it. So the victors, it's clear, Philly, Super Bowl champions. So, Andy takes, I think, Victory Island here on this one. Gary takes Victory Island here on this one. I got to say, first play, Kansas City gets a favorable call, and I'm like, not this shit again. Not first play, excuse me, but like first quarter of the game, we see that. Yeah, first drive of the game, we see this play go Kansas City's way, and I'm just thinking, there's no way. And from there, it just never came to fruition for Kansas City. Did some good garbage time touchdowns, but other than that, just an absolute dominant performance, particularly from the defensive front of the Philadelphia Eagles defensive side of the ball. I mean, not blitzing through 3 quarters, keeping that type of pressure. I mean, we're talking about a pocket that collapsed. It was very similar, actual performance to how they did against Tom Brady, where that collapse of the pocket, keeping Tom Brady or Pat Mahomes in this case on his heels, proved to be more than anything the big Achilles heel here. They were able to shut down Pat and thus shut down the offense entirely. And then aside from that, the only big surprise that I really saw out of this was actually Kansas City's ability to stop Saquon. That was the biggest shocker to me, is just how well they kept him at minimal yardage throughout the entire game. That was really impressive. Aside from that, Jalen Hurts is an absolute gunslinger, and he did his thing. It was a great performance from the Eagles. I can't knock that whatsoever. Cooper DeJean out there doing wonders for white people everywhere. White corners are back. It's kind of crazy. Pick 6, birthday, touchdowns. I mean, it's nuts. This was a crazy game, but definitely not. The first 3 quarters of it were absolute dog shit.
Yeah, and on the Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley thing, we talked about it last week. I mentioned, like, if Kansas City is going to sell out against Barkley, they're going to leave A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith on islands. I didn't have Jahan Dotson threatening to win MVP in the first quarter, but he had a couple of catches early. One almost went for a touchdown. He ended up being short. You mentioned the pass interference call against A.J. Brown, which was absolute just dog shit. I posted it to Facebook, and a Chiefs fan was like, yeah, that's fucking, here we go. But I told him, just eat it up. I'm going to bitch about it, but like, you're a Chiefs fan. You should fucking absolutely be. You're the darling of the NFL. But man, it went downhill quick. The ice tilted pretty quickly. It was clear early on that Mahomes was not, he didn't have whatever magic it was going to take to be better than Philly. And that's really the number one reason I picked Philly last week, is because of that defensive front. I thought they were going to be able to get pressure on him, collapse the pocket. I also thought they had the formula for beating a guy like Patrick Mahomes. He's a guy who will step up through the pocket. He beats edge rushers. He beats them all the time because they rush and they rush past him, and he steps up in the pocket, finds a lane, either scrambles for just enough. He's just barely fast enough to get 10 yards for a first down, or he finds a receiver. It's usually Kelsey, or sometimes he'll find somebody streaking down the field. But they had very, very good rush discipline. And I thought because they had guys like Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis who could collapse the pocket from the middle, it was going to give him problems. And that's exactly what we saw in this game. He couldn't get to where he needed to get up platform to make a pass. He couldn't find guys quick enough to beat the blitz. He wasn't willing to take the check down. After a few early miscues, I thought he kind of gave up on like trying to take the check down. I also think he felt more pressure this year than he usually does. A lot of people will probably remember they've been down 10 points in every Super Bowl he's played. 3 times they've come back and won those games, twice against San Fran and once against Philly. The first time around, it felt like he kind of abandoned the game plan. And I don't know what happened with Andy Reid. He didn't make adjustments in game. And maybe it was just a matter of like Philly's front was too good. But the pick 6 is a throw that I don't know that Mahomes usually makes. He looked so rattled so quickly in this game, and Philly just took advantage of it. The offense was good. You don't want to cover A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith one-on-one. We saw the weakness of the secondary for the Chiefs. If they're not able to scheme up exotic coverages by being able to blitz 5 and leave everybody back. They had 7 guys at the line of scrimmage, and they were going to take away Saquon Barkley. They left their corners on an island, and they paid the price for it. A.J. Brown is too good to cover like that. Devontae Smith, too good to cover like that. Jalen Hurts was just good enough. I thought he was very, very good in what they asked him to do. There's a lot of people trying to highlight, like, oh, he made such perfect throws. Like the Devontae Smith touchdown, if he wasn't 3 yards open, the defensive back is going to knock that down because it's underthrown. Devontae Smith has to come back to the ball a little bit on that. It's a matter of they were better. They had better receivers than the Chiefs had corners to be able to stand up like that. And Jalen Hurts was good in this game, and he won the MVP. I thought the defensive line for the Eagles should have all won co-MVP in this game.
You know what Jalen Hurts is Jalen Hurts is a good leader.
Sure. Yeah.
He's cool, right? He's just that guy never shows any emotion. Right. I feel like he's just always kind of there.
He's very stoic.
Gary, you've picked on him, your fair share. I mean, I've picked on him too. I don't think he's not the greatest quarterback. He doesn't have the greatest arm. He doesn't have the greatest tools. He's not the greatest runner. I don't think he's great at anything, but he is kind of a jack of all trades. And I do think that he does a very good job of leading his team. Obviously, Philly has a lot of weapons, which is helpful for anyone. But I think, Hurts needs some credit here. The MVP obviously helps. I think he needs a little credit from us. But, yeah, I mean, the game, the call, that early call, A.J. Brown, I mean, there's a little hand to the face, but it was nothing that you would fucking want to ever see called ever.
Right.
And, they get it back with the Dallas Goedert thing, the next drive or the drive after that. That was awful, too. Gary, I think you said that this crew was just bad.
It was terrible, man.
Before we get people salivating here over the Chiefs, so it's worth noting.
Crew was awful.
But, I just, in addition to Philly's front four, which we can't gloss over because it was just dominant and it made the Chiefs offense. And I've said it like all week, the Chiefs offensive line wasn't to task. Mahomes got rocked early. He got, I don't remember which guy hit him early.
Right under the chin.
Yeah. And I think he was, there might have been a concussion protocol thing in action here that we're not talking about.
Maybe.
Because Mahomes, there was some times where I felt like Mahomes was getting to where he get as far as Mahomes goes, the little fucking the toddler running around, and it just wasn't going. I think he was seeing ghosts. And, obviously that mixed with the fact that front four was so fucking good. They didn't blitz. They don't need to blitz.
Yeah. Zero. Zero blitzes the entire game.
And shout out to fucking Philly. I mean, everybody but C.J. Gardner-Johnson because he's a fucking twat.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that, they played their asses off and they fucking, the fans fucked the city up. We knew that shit was coming, right? Fucked it all up. Like, if you're in the glass business the day after the Super Bowl and you live in fucking Philly or the Pennsylvania area surrounding Philly, holy shit, dude. Strip club fucking James Harden, make it rain, kid. So, yeah, I mean, fucking shout out to the Eagles. They impose their will. I don't give a fuck about, like, the garbage time shit, Mahomes ended up with, 3 touchdowns?
Yeah.
Not a 3-touchdown game.
Yeah.
That's just it's not. That's not a 3-touchdown game.
Andy Reid is the king of leaving his starters in when they shouldn't be.
I mean, one guy we should give credit to, I think, is Worthy. Worthy had a hell of a good game, especially for a rookie. I wouldn't want to go past without shouting him out. But
157 and 2 tugs.
Utter dominance.
Yeah, great game.
I knew that play was coming too right away as soon as he was just on the other side of the logo and Pat takes I think it was a five-step drop. And I was like, oh, he's going to say, fuck it, Xavier's down there somewhere. And he's just, he juiced it. It was a great pass.
Yeah, and I mean, Philly's backup defense was in, and they had done a really good job of staying over the top of him all night. The touchdown he scored early was kind of one of those gadget plays where Worthy's just so fast, right? If you can get him the ball when he's moving at full speed, there's just not a lot of guys in the NFL that are going to be able to have the right angle with the right amount of speed to get him, right? Especially on the defensive side of the ball. So they had done a really good job throughout the game of really just kind of staying back, forcing Pat to try to take the underneath stuff that he didn't seem willing to take. And you might be onto something, man. There might have been a little, I didn't even think about it during the game, but, he might have been a little out of sorts. And that might be why.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, 100%.
So.
I mean,
I had those moments where I thought that where he was kind of seeing ghosts in his passing, and I know that he had one pick where he had just, he had gotten kind of clipped or had started to tackle, so I can understand one. But there was one where I felt like it was clean cut. You clearly missed that. You should have clearly seen that defender there. Like
the DeJean one that he took to the house, like that's a throw Pat doesn't normally make.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah,
that's one of the ones for me where I was like, "Fuck, that's a bad throw.
That's a bad one."
That's I mean that Jared Goff does that shit,
right? Patrick Mahomes, right? Like
yeah.
No shit. Like I love Goff, but Goff does that. That like when Goff makes a mistake, that's his mistake. I've never seen Mahomes really make that kind of mistake. So that was fuck, man. Yeah. And now we got fucking. The Proud Boys are probably out here in force, like, fuck them. We're bringing back the white corner. Fucking taking it back for the land.
Oh, shit.
I hate to see it.
Yeah, fucking hey, dude. On his birthday, too, this kid. Fuck.
Well, I think all in all with the Super Bowl, I think the thing that I was most excited about was just the justice at the end that I feel like we got in the AFC, where at least Kansas City didn't get away with this. I mean, I still had pretty decent heartburn about the Buffalo game after that was said and done. And, I'm not trying to be a sore loser about that because I definitely wanted Buffalo to get their chance to get in the show and to Josh and for Josh Allen to finally get past that barrier he struggled with for so long. But, I feel like this was justice. I think if anything, this was just, everything kind of evened out. Philly took they were already going to be the clear cut here. They were already the stronger team to begin with. And, it played out as it should.
Yeah. I want to kind of bring something up too. And
they finally looked as beatable as we've known they've been all season.
Right. And I'm going to muse on that a little bit. I posted this on Facebook. I don't know if you've seen it, whatever, but like, Robert's mentioning Brady here, and I hope this game served as a reminder to people. A lot of talking heads out there and a lot of folks that I've talked to, like, let's stop trying to crown the GOAT before they're even close to being the GOAT. Patrick Mahomes doesn't have half the Super Bowls Brady has. He now has almost as many losses in the Super Bowl as Brady has. He also has 2 more blowouts in the Super Bowl than Brady ever had. Brady was never blown out in the Super Bowl. The difference for me in terms of like what separates great from GOAT is like that. Like Brady's never had a team as good as Mahomes has. Brady's never had weapons as good as Mahomes has had basically his entire career. We forget quickly Tom Brady played in 10 fucking Super Bowls and won 7 of the motherfuckers. Like he had a stranglehold on the league. Pat Mahomes has been blown out in 2 games, and this game was worse. This is worse than a 16-point or 17, whatever it ended up, 18-point loss. This is a 28 to 30-point loss. This isn't those garbage time touchdowns changed what this looked like. So I just want to remind everybody out there, like, don't put the cart before the horse. His story's not done. It's not half done. He's not even 30 yet. And we're trying to crown him as the GOAT, the greatest quarterback ever, blah, 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 blah. This guy doesn't make his team better is the problem we run into. He can't overcome adversity. When he gets his ass kicked, the game is fucking over. Over. We've seen it twice with Tampa and Philly. Kick his ass, he fucking sucks. Twice. Tom Brady got his ass.
Listen, though, he overcame adversity last year. His fucking wide receiver room last year was dog shit.
What adversity did he face in the Super Bowl, though?
I didn't say he faced adversity in the Super Bowl. I said he faced adversity with the dog shit wide receiver core and a high ankle sprain. Let's not completely fucking undress the dude here. That's a little nuts.
I am undressing him in a game like this.
Sure, undress him in that game.
We watched Tom Brady get his ass kicked in 3 Super Bowls and still give his team the lead in the 4th quarter in those games. Pat Mahomes was never in this game. So I just get irritated by people trying to crown before we're even close. Like, we're not even in the same ballpark yet. And people were saying, oh, Mahomes is the greatest ever. He's going to go down as this and that and this, that. Let's pump the fucking brakes a little bit. And I hope this game served as a reminder for that.
And I agree with that. Like, I think, I don't think he's the greatest ever. I think he's got a ton of time to still do that if that's the case. He's, further along than Brady at his age, but I don't want to undress the guy completely. He has overcome some adversity here. The shit last year was pretty fucking, and even this year, look at the fucking, it was always in doubt, but never in doubt, right? Every fucking week. And that's not all Mahomes, but like
he had
that's the reason people bet on the Chiefs, though.
Starting quarterback this year.
It's the reason people bet on the Chiefs, though, was everybody knew Philly had a better roster. Philly had a far better roster than the Chiefs. Philly's a fucking powerhouse.
Sure.
But it was like, I don't want to bet against Mahomes. That was where I stood. I don't know if that's where Raul stood, but like it gets tough, man. It's hard to fucking go against because it just makes shit happen. And it's not always nice. Sometimes it's ugly. Like we watched Eli Manning do this shit for a few years, right? Where it was like, fuck, it might get real ugly, but we might still win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I kind of went into the Super Bowl knowing that Philly was a stronger team or whatever. I kind of had some, definitely wearing my conspiracy hat and assuming that, the script was going to go as written and then they were going to get this fucking three-peat.
Yeah.
Well,
oh, there you
go. Did I?
No, you're good. I'm curious though. I want to hear from both of you guys because I've made it clear to other folks that I've talked to. I think the dynasty's over. We may never watch Pat Mahomes in another Super Bowl. I'm curious to hear from you guys. Like, do you think the dynasty is over?
No, I don't have any reason to think that.
No?
I mean,
how many years are we talking are left on this contract?
There's questions here because, like, I don't know how they can move on with Kelsey. He's like a $19 million cap hit next season. But listen, the defense can still play. And, I mean, we've seen it with Mahomes. You can just throw some fucking wide receivers out there. I mean, D-Hop's washed. Worthy. I mean, Worthy's been really fucking solid this year. But I don't want to say it's done because I don't think the AFC is very good. So, I mean, who's lighting it up in the AFC?
I mean, the Bills.
But they're going to walk through a dog shit division again and then not fucking be able to get it done. This happens every year with them. Yeah, that's their book.
I think Kansas City's division's getting better too, though. I think that's a big problem for Kansas City. They're not going to be able to rely on just being the 1 seed next year. I don't think.
Listen, as far as the Bills go, I can no longer consider the Bills that much of a threat because they can't fucking beat the Chiefs. They can't. Not when it matters. Yeah. And that's tough love. It was fun to watch them, blow out the Jets and shit a bunch of times. Like I just, you fucking win a bunch of games on your way to a soft fucking, you had a soft schedule, and then you can't beat the fucking Chiefs when it matters. It's where I am with the Bills. And Joe Burrow, he can't fucking get it done because his team sucks. So who's going to do it? Lamar and the fucking Ravens choke every fucking year. That's my argument for the Chiefs. Like, I just don't.
Denver?
Who's going to do it? Denver?
They beat them. They should have beat them twice this year.
Yeah, they got fucking smoked in the playoffs.
Sure.
Smoked.
By the Bills.
Smoked. Yeah. By the team who couldn't then beat the fucking Chiefs and probably shouldn't have survived the Ravens. Like I
definitely don't think we're going to see Kansas City there next year, right? Like
maybe not.
I think
who's the favorite?
Right. I think it's got to be Buffalo, right?
No,
I doubt it.
Honestly,
Baltimore,
probably.
I have no idea.
I'm looking right now. No, Chiefs are slightly favored in the AFC over the Bills and Ravens.
I mean, who do you trust? I do. When it comes down to it, I don't know.
The Raiders.
Yeah, fucking Pete Carroll's old ass.
Yeah, the Chiefs are a little bit of kryptonite for the Bills, that's for sure. But
it just happens every fucking time. Like that's we just keep waiting for the Bills to do it. And they don't. I think everybody feels a little let down by the Bills.
Yeah. I think the sting of how it ended too, though, is a bit of the hangover for people this year. But no, I mean, I don't necessarily think you're wrong. I look at the Chiefs and I just like they have so many holes, and Kelsey's probably going to retire, and there's nobody coming in that's Travis Kelce. And even if Travis Kelce doesn't retire, I watched him throw his hands up in the middle of a play while Pat was scrambling around like an asshole. Like, that's not good. That's gonna be brought up. Like, what are we doing here? I just look at the Chiefs and that offensive line is very, very bad. Wide receiver, they're not going to be able to just reload. Like, we made a lot of excuses for Pat Mahomes this year and how bad he was. He was really bad. And yeah, he got hot in the playoffs, but you're not gonna win your division next year hoping for a blocked field goal, hoping for a fumble by the fucking Raiders who should have beaten them. The Chargers are going to be better. The Broncos are going to be better. The Bengals are going to be better. They're not going to have the 31st ranked defense next year. They're just not going to. Like, the Ravens are going to continue to be a threat. Who knows if they're ever going to figure it out? But
it can't be luck if it happens every fucking week, though.
Facts.
That's the point we got to this year. It was like that block field goal was the epitome of like, what the fuck?
Right. I'm not saying like you're just going to rely on luck, but like you're not going to rely on all these factors coming together all the time, every fucking year. It's like you can't live on unicorn farts and fucking rainbows.
I think you might be able to.
I don't.
Maybe you can. I feel like we've seen it a couple years in a row now.
Well, we've seen instances of it with like Brian Daboll and his magic, right? We've seen. I mean, Andy Reid's going to have his own magic. I think that'll be able to keep Kansas City afloat for a little bit. But again, I still expect them to be in some type of rebuilding for the next couple of years. I mean, you've got $500 million tied up in your cap space over the next decade or however long that fucking contract is. It's
need to restructure his deal. He's going to be there forever. So,
like, if you had to ask me right now, I would pick the Chiefs, and it's namely because the other two teams can't get it done in the playoffs.
No,
they've proven it.
I've learned my lesson.
Listen, I'm going to give you my way too early prediction for the Chiefs. I think they're a 10 or 11 win team next year. I don't think they win their division.
But did they get in the playoffs?
They might sneak in as a wild card. We can clip this next year if they win 15 games, and you guys can shit on me. But I think they're going to be a 10 or 11 win team, and I don't think they're going to win their division.
And I'm fine with that. If they're in the playoffs, they're in the playoffs.
Sure.
Fact. Okay, so if
I think that there's a real possibility. I don't know what percentage chance I would put on it. But I'm saying today on fucking February 12th, 2025, we may have seen Patrick Mahomes in his last Super Bowl. There's a real possibility of that.
So I can agree with that. I think that, okay, see, we were talking about, I made a reference to this earlier in this episode, but it's from earlier episodes, multiple. We've talked about this, is that the Kansas City Chiefs are the most beatable dynasty and the most beatable they've ever been this year. And then just in the world stage, we got to see that on display. And so I do feel like, as far as like the hunt for the alpha and the pack of the AFC, right? We've just now seen the alpha at his weakest point. Someone's going to step up, and I expect them to impose will on Kansas City. I think there's going to be a new level of confidence, to kind of back what Garrett's saying. I think it's entirely possible that we see Kansas City struggle to get that wild card rather than sealing the division. Yeah, I'm there.
They still play in the AFC at the end of the day. Like, the NFC has some hits.
You're not wrong.
And that's all I heard, like, was whoever wins the AFC is going to win the Super Bowl because they have the top quarterbacks, and the top quarterbacks win the fucking big games. And here we are, the better teams, the teams I trust more, are in the fucking NFC. And, maybe they have the lesser quarterbacks, I mean, you have younger guys and, guys that aren't revered as much, the Hurtses and, like Goff and shit like that. But, it's not Josh Allen and Burrow and Lamar Jackson and Pat Mahomes. But at the end of the fucking day, that AFC to me is just, it's not good.
The last factor for me going into next season is Rebels mentioned the contract a few times. They have the second least number of players under contract for 2025 at like 43 or something like that. They've got under contract. Washington's the only other team that has less, but those two teams are on very opposite ends of the spectrum when it comes to building versus rebuilding and reloading, that sort of thing. So it's not going to be as easy. Andy, you mentioned you could just throw whatever wide receivers out there, yada, yada. It's not going to be that easy for them to do that and maintain how good this defense has been. This defense is the reason they won 15 games this year. Without question, the defense is the reason they won 15 games this year. Now, Pat Mahomes might be the reason they got hot in the playoffs.
What was the reason last year?
What's that?
What was the reason last year?
The defense.
What was the reason the year before?
The year before was Mahomes and
I'm just saying, it can't continue to be a coincidence if it keeps happening. We can say everything we want about, like, it's this and that, but it's just, it keeps fucking occurring. That's my point.
What I'm saying is that there's vital pieces of that defense that are not under contract. Sure. And they're probably not going to be able to resign.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. To me, the Chiefs are at a point where it's like, usually it's like a prove it to me. Prove it can happen. Now it's like a prove it can't happen.
Sure.
Because they've earned that. I mean, frankly, it's just utter fucking domination. So We were doing it last year. We kept saying like, oh, they're going to get it going. And then they didn't get it going. And we were like, oh, it's not a if, it's a when. And then it became a like, oh, this isn't going to happen. And then they won the fucking Super Bowl. So I don't know. I just have a hard time. To me, like my money, if I'm rolling the dice, it's on the fact that they'll figure it out.
There's a lot of rationale behind that for sure. I just personally, I think the writing's on the wall. I think the dynasty's over, and I think we may have seen Mahomes in his last Super Bowl.
I think Pat Mahomes doesn't need to be in the GOAT conversation to still be in the conversation of quarterbacks who you can never count out. And sure. I think Kansas City's going to continue to be one of those teams too. So the team is torn on what we think is Pat Mahomes' future. What do you guys think at home? Do you guys think he's going to be able to just like keep the momentum going and continue to kind of him and Coach Reed put the team on their backs and march their way back into another postseason? Or do you think they're going to rebuild? Or do you think this is the end? Is this the end of Pat's visits to the big show at the end of the season? Let us know. For those of you guys that are new here to the show, we appreciate you guys watching. We are a veteran podcast, and myself and Gary having served together in the Navy. We dedicate every episode of our podcast to a fallen service member, and our Folds of Honor sponsored segment we call our Salute to Service. This episode is going to be dedicated to Army Chief Warrant Officer 2, Timothy W. Moling, who passed away February 23, 2003, serving during Operation Enduring Freedom. He was 35 years old from Florida, and he was assigned to A Company, 5th Battalion, 158th Aviation Regiment in Germany, and he was killed in a UH-60 Black Hawk crash in Kuwait. Army Chief Warrant Officer 2, Timothy W. Moling. We have the watch. You know, we've spent 33 minutes now talking about this absolute ass whipping Kansas City took, and yet they weren't even the biggest losers of the night. The biggest loser was actually a friend up to the north in Toronto, the sixth god himself, Drake, taking massive, diabolical L's, really Hiroshima, Nagasaki level fucking L's, down real bad. Andy, what were your thoughts on the take? I mean, what was your take? I feel like there was a lot of mixed. I feel like if you're not about hip hop, or basically if you're over the age of, I would say probably 45, you probably hated that show.
You're of a certain demographic.
Yeah, for sure. If your credit scores maybe over a certain number, I'm just kidding. No, I love it.
Did you like the Super Bowl as the new who did you vote for?
Yeah.
No,
pretty much, yeah.
Best,
seniors upstairs, like I didn't get it.
Halftime ever, period. Fucking awesome. Just listen. Yeah. Just the art. It was art. And I know, listen, a lot of you slow motherfuckers didn't get it, and that's fine. I get it. I saw it right away. The exact fucking people who you guys weren't supposed to be fucking watching the football anymore anyway.
Why are you still watching?
You guys quit years ago. Cut it the fuck out. That shit was perfect. Listen, if you don't appreciate hip hop, I understand. Like you want Brooks and fucking Dunn, fine. Fucking Motley Crue will roll them out next year.
We just want Creed.
Like,
we just want Creed.
I fucking fucked my second cousin in the back of a Trans Am to this shit.
Damn,
Listen,
dude, not the T-top.
If you don't understand it, that's fine. If you don't like hip-hop music, that's fine. But feel free to not judge something you don't understand. Like,
oh yeah,
excellent as far as hip-hop goes. Excellent. The lungs, the voice control that it takes to rap that shit was out of control because it was
no backing track.
Yeah, there was no fucking. I mean, there was shit added, like, but Kendrick rapped all that while doing all the shit. The only problem I had was with his jeans. I didn't love the jeans, Kendrick. Let's fucking figure that out. But there was a Squid Games reference in there. The fucking American flag divided, which we all know it's a fucking tough time here right now. Samuel Jackson being like the hey, behave,
Uncle Sam,
be in line, Uncle Sam, be in line. You're not gonna do it. Don't do it. Don't do the song. Like the teasing of the song that he's not supposed to play because Drake's threatened to sue. The record label said, "Don't play that fucking song." Serena fucking Williams, that's an ex of Drake, coming out and doing the Crip Walk, which she got highly scrutinized for doing after she won the fucking Olympics. Money. SZA, also an ex of Drake. Money. The Prison Yard, like just like from a symbolic fucking standpoint.
Okay, Senior.
Yeah.
Damn. He just
that's the best.
That life.
That is hip hop. Everything about that was fucking hip hop. And the exact people I expected to post on Facebook that they didn't like it or that it sucked. Right. The first fucking messenger I saw in my fucking thing was exactly who I expected it fucking to be from. Shout out Stove. Listen, you guys don't love it, you don't get it, don't fucking say anything. It's fine, dude. And I won't fucking comment when fucking Hank Williams fucking Jr. performs next time.
He's not like a big showboating entertainer. You have to like understand him to it's I have a hard time saying that he's really even an acquired taste. Like I think if you're into hip hop, you definitely understand and appreciate who Kendrick is and what he's brought to hip hop in general. But man, I mean, that was just, starting with Grammys, taking 5 of those home, wearing the Canadian tuxedo on stage, wild. Bell bottoms on the field though was unacceptable. I'm with you there.
The pants were unacceptable.
The pants were unfucking forgivable, and that's on Crip. I don't think they would stand for that. There's Hoover Crips right now that were up in arms about those fucking pants. All right. Sonny and Cher. We don't need that shit. All right. That can stay back where it was. You can miss me with the bell bottom shit. Not here for it. The rest, the show itself was fantastic though. Plenty of hits. The Grand National with 50 people coming out of it was fire. Shout out to Mexicans. That was really a nice nod to our culture, I think. We have a good packing technique in cars. I don't know.
Yeah, so I spent a good portion of the third quarter like having what I felt was actually a constructive conversation with people who aren't hip hop fans, and some that are hip hop fans, but it's like older hip hop and rap, and they don't get into like Kendrick and they don't know who J. Cole is, and I tried to.
Speaking of which, did you hear Jalen Hurts' interview after the fact? I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're good.
Did you hear Jalen Hurts' interview when he was asked about the halftime show?
No.
He said, "Hey, what do you think about it?" And he said, "Yeah, I thought it was cool." He's like, "What do you think about the Kendrick Drake beef?" He goes, "I don't really know much about it. I don't really listen to that." He listens to like 1960s, 1970s fucking Luther Vandross and shit. So that's just not even in his lane. I thought
that tracks.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It does track.
It totally does.
Nature.
It explains
probably
the mentality.
Warmed up to like Barry White.
Yeah, exactly. He's just like working out to Sade, Yeah. I'm sorry, Gary. Go ahead.
Oh, you're good. But anyway, so like I was saying, like I spent the third quarter kind of like explaining to people because if I had an unbiased like view of it, like I get why there's some folks that obviously there's the folks that are just gonna hate it no matter what. But there were people that were like, this is just kind of boring. Like they didn't understand it. There wasn't a lot going on. There wasn't a lot of fireworks and all the flashy shit that we get a lot.
It wasn't DMX.
Wasn't DMX, right? That's a good way to put it. And Mo, you said best halftime show ever. I agree. I think it's the second best. I still think the 50M, that one I still think was awesome. But I think it takes me back to like,
who else was on that one?
What's that?
Who else was in that show?
Oh my God,
I
Mitzi
think
came
Snoop was
out.
on that.
Kendrick was there.
Oh yeah, Kendrick was. Yeah.
No, I like that one too. That was a good one.
It takes me back to like my youth. But this was awesome. But I tried to explain to people like Kendrick Lamar's superpower is not that he's going to stand on stage and he's going to put on a show that you're going to look at and be just flashy. You're not going to be just like jumping out of your seat and yada yada yada. It's the Easter eggs. It's the way he compiles things. He won a fucking Pulitzer Prize for his lyricism. He's one of the greatest, if not, he's arguably the greatest lyricist of all time. There are people that will argue till they're blue in the face that he's a better lyricist than like Eminem, that he's better than anybody that's ever done it. He's great, but that's his superpower. It's Serena being, it's SZA being, it's the shout out to Mustard. It's all this stuff and the way he compiled the list of tracks and how he went through them and choreographed the performance. You mentioned the Samuel L. Jackson allusions to the song. They played the one quick track from the song and the crowd exploded and then he shut it down. But then he played it later in the show because he was trying to build the suspense to that finish. And that's who Kendrick Lamar is. Not everybody's going to appreciate it. The jeans were a fucking tragedy. I don't think he's a very good like stage presence guy either. He had this kind of weird arm thing he did a ton that was super distracting. But goddamn it,
that's Compton, baby.
What's that?
That's Compton.
Yeah, I get that, but it's like super distracting. It is what it is. But it's
like Compton Conor McGregor, baby.
And then to shut his TV off, and the crowd has game over spelled in the fucking crowd. Like it was perfectly assembled. It was a phenomenal just compilation of things. But Kendrick is not a stage performer, and I think that's what puts some people off. The rest of the people are just going to be put off by a certain thing about him.
No, he's not. That's what I said. And that was I didn't just use that term tonight. Like, he's not DMX.
Right, exactly.
If it had been fucking like the DMX, like the fucking, y'all don't even know enough now, stop being greedy. Like, dude,
yeah,
the fucking place would have erupted.
Yeah.
DMX's music was super energy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And
every song.
Kendrick's
Outkast would have been another good one.
Outkast is a big, like, because they have a lot of pop to their shit.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Kendrick's shit is just so fucking intelligent. Like,
yeah,
Kendrick's rap is just it's so good, man.
It's a little too cerebral. I mean, everything is considered, it's curated, it's cultivated. Everything is very, very strategic in what he delivers, right? And I think there's a lot of artists that are like that, but you know, his shit is comprehensive. It's very complex.
There's a reason he was able to go toe to toe with and beat Drake, who's the much more popular rapper, right?
Right.
Drake's the most popular rapper on planet Earth. Well, maybe until the last year, but Kendrick went toe to toe with because he was everything was 5 steps ahead. Smarter. He's dude's a genius, man. I mean, and it's sad that people, won't see it or won't give credit to it because it's the culture. And it is what it is. I thought it was great. Loved it.
Yeah.
Listen, you'll be fucking going through that in like 2 months and finding things.
Dude, that's what I told him. There were so many Easter eggs in the They Not Like Us song that like a year later we're still finding out like, oh, the craziest part is he sings A minor in A minor.
A minor, yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Like,
and the A minor chain.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Somebody asked me, they're like, why has he got an A on? Is that the Amazon A? I'm like, that's a small A. And
there was a backup dancer at one point who looked like Lil Wayne and was doing like the Lil Wayne shit. And I don't even really necessarily know what that was about. But like New Orleans, Lil Wayne, people were pissed that Lil Wayne wasn't at the fucking thing. Just like, again,
he said he was going to be in the studio.
We're going to be digging that shit up like fucking paleontologists. Like it's
right.
It's just,
at Super Bowl 70, they're going to be like, oh shit, Kendrick did this to this Drake.
It's very true. Yeah, I definitely I feel like even just overnight, kind of scrolling social media the next day, watching the clips and seeing other things that other people had caught and just taking time to kind of digest. It's insane to think about going to a concert or watching a performance from a hip hop artist or any artist for that matter, and then having to digest all of the Easter eggs. And I feel like every time I listen to a Kendrick album, it's like that. You have to listen to it 30, 40 times to really grasp everything he's saying. And, there's not many artists that way in any genre that I feel like are like that. But when I think of the greats, I think of people like Kendrick Lamar. I think of people like, Eminem's obviously a great storyteller. Nas is amazing. But, even outside of the genre, I think of people like John Mayer. Think of even John Mellencamp, Bob Dylan, the Beatles, like the great songwriters and lyricists of their day. Like this is the people that we compare them to, I think. And so it's incredible.
Also, I want to shout out that
was cool to watch.
Grand National. That's what a fucking sick sleeper ride. Like people don't realize how awesome that Grand National was in the late 80s. Jesus goddamn Christ.
Yeah. That's a fucking heater too.
There was like 70 dudes in that car.
Yeah. Yeah, coming up from under the stage. I can't believe they cut the floor out of that fucking thing.
Listen, that wasn't even a fucking real Grand National.
I know, but that's a sick car to have out there.
Oh, dude.
Definitely.
Just fucking no engine, nothing in it. Don't cry. Don't get sad over it. That fucking thing's a shell.
It's a beautiful.
No, it didn't have a small block 350. It had 350.
Didn't have the turbo under the hood.
It is a beautiful shell, but it's a fucking shell.
I know.
Definitely. All right, boys. Well, overall, I think it was a great halftime show. I think we all got what we probably wanted in regard to Kansas City kind of getting that ass handed to them like they deserve to. I think the NFL is going to be better for it. Another three-peat stopped by Philadelphia. Somehow, despite the fact that they're one of the most hated franchises in the country, they still manage to be the heroes sometimes too. So congratulations to the Philadelphia Eagles.
Some of them grease their light poles.
Yeah,
some of them grease their light poles. Listen, we're going to take a second to congratulate Philly on the Super Bowl, and then it's back to our regularly scheduled program of fuck Philly. So yeah, hopefully don't burn your fucking city to the ground. I know that we're already a few days removed, so it could already be too late.
They tried
you
see that motherfucker that blew himself up with a box of fucking fireworks? Like,
did see that shit, dude.
Holy shit!
Like, what are we doing?
He's running around with one of those fucking like $200 box of like the never-ending fireworks fountains, and he's carrying it, and he like falls, drops it, picks it up the wrong way, and it blows up on him, and shit. Like, Jesus!
I saw a guy letting the shit that's meant for a pipe. On the ground, like the big dog shit. And he's fucking trying to launch it out his fucking window.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what are we doing, bro? Like, you can't just hold that.
Shout out to Chick working on the car horn, though. That was...
Oh, fuck, dude.
I applaud the effort.
It's another year of a Philly Super Bowl, boys. What can I say? I mean, all bets are off, I think it's safe to say.
Yeah.
So
they're riding police horses and shit. Jesus Christ.
What is this, the fucking Last of Us? What are you doing? Like, the fucking world's not at an end here. You can't just ride that horse. Fuck.
Fucking Red Dead.
Where the fuck did they get the horse?
Police on horses.
So what is it? Half baked? He feeds the horse all the fucking munchies, like the horse dies.
Seinfeld, he feeds him the fucking beef O'Brady's or whatever.
Imagine you're the fucking horse cop and you just come out of like fucking 7-Eleven and your fucking horse is gone.
Somebody took your horse, dude.
Whole horse is gone.
Oh, is that grand theft? Like, how does that work?
Grand theft animal?
Is it?
That's probably like fucking dude. That's a fucking. It's probably kidnapping.
It might be actually.
But it's all, but it's kind of a vehicle or a transportation vessel, if you will, in that you can actually get a ticket for being drunk on top of a horse.
Yeah.
Like if you punch a canine dog, I'm pretty sure that's assaulting an officer.
Yeah.
So like that's.
So it's like kidnapping an officer, but it's also like taking a cop car. It's a combination.
Double whammy.
You get both.
Fuck, dude.
It's like taking a canine vehicle with the dog is what.
In Philly, it's like fucking Monday.
Yeah, it's like
In Philly, it's brunch.
Dude comes out, he's like, "Oh, they fucking took the horse again."
God damn, I'll just follow.
Third time this week. Fuck.
Fuck.
Well, boys, good season. All in all, good season.
Yes, sir.
Any closing thoughts? I mean, this is the last. This is it. Super Bowl season's over. We're done.
Yeah, fuck Philly. I'm not happy they won the Super Bowl. I'm happy that they shut down the Chiefs.
And we're back.
I got my buddy Nilo. You know Nilo, Raul, but I told him for one day.
Shout out, Carl.
And then Monday, it's back to fuck Philly.
Yeah, fuck Kevin O'Connell.
Oh yeah,
not the coach of the year.
No.
Can't see it, man.
Nope.
Fuck them. Fuck those purple pussies.
Nope. They missed. It was a little bit further east, but yeah. Motor City Dan Campbell got robbed.
I don't know how you beat a team twice, have the same record, and play a harder schedule. I guess it's the Sam Darnold effect. We did this with Sam Darnold. That ginger piece of shit. I can say that too. It's fine.
It's true. Right? Yeah, no, it's red on red. Well, boys, any other closing thoughts? Gary, you got anything?
No, I'm excited about the offseason, man. For the first time in a long time, I get to talk about Washington building on something. Fix some of the O-line problems, a little bit of depth on defense, and let's get a fucking number 2 wide receiver opposite Terry. But yeah, man, I'm excited that we're finally in a spot to be building, and it feels like we have some competent leadership in charge. But yeah, we'll see what the offseason brings.
Yeah, well, my Texans had a great end of the season. I think they did good.
Shout out to Brian Schottenheimer.
Yeah.
Turning shit around.
Never heard of her.
Never heard of
her. Shot in who?
Yeah.
Shot in who?
No.
Did you say Marty?
Yeah, no, I think I do think I'm probably done with Dallas. Potentially this season and it may be until Jerry Jones dies, which is hopefully sooner rather than later. But I really do think I might be done with Dallas. I'm going to take this offseason and kind of think about it, and maybe I'll have a decision made coming beginning of the season. Maybe preseason.
That motherfucker is going to outlive you.
He probably fucking is.
He probably will.
Modern science. And
son of a bitch. Yeah. No.
He's got a good 127 in him.
I mean, I feel like that's only 5 years away. Well, boys, I appreciate you. Great season. Thank you all, leaders, senior, yeomen, all the homies throughout the season who've been watching every episode week in, week out. We appreciate the shit out of you guys. We'll be sure to keep in touch regularly throughout the off season as things happen, trades go on, the draft, so on and so forth. Preseason kicking off, and be sure to check out our other family podcasts. If you're into baseball, be sure to check Rosenbagger's podcast. If you're into college football, check out Tailgate Trash Talk. If you're it's NBA season, if you're watching NBA, be sure to check out Backyard Buckets. And so we appreciate all of you guys tuning into the show, and be sure to check in with us next time. From all of us here at Backyard Sports, we appreciate you guys watching this episode of Backyard Blitz, brought to you by Backyard Sports Media. See you next time. We're out of here.